Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your screens. It is Saturday. This is Saturday night's main event. All the pomp and circumstances here. I, of course, am not here with Elon. He's at the Bees doing his thing.
It's all good, though. I got his back.
Because we got none other than Sick Picks Mike D in the house.
That's right. What's up?
Who is absentee this week from fantasy football talk.
Yeah, just, I was in Philly for 3 days, okay?
All right, that's it. Okay? We're done. We're done.
Hey, man, you wanted to bring it up.
We're done. But what's so special about this is we have up-and-coming MMA fighter Jose, the Real Hitman Soto, in the building, who's going to just give us, going to talk about the fight that's going to happen the 16th. That's a Friday, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep, in Atlantic City, New Jersey for Cage Fury. Former Violent High coach, one of the assistant coaches, right under
Rob Haydock.
Yeah, Coach Haydock, who owns Cage Fury, is helping put this card together and got you onto the card as well, which is awesome. Yeah, local, man. That's what matters most, building up the local talent. And we're going to talk MMA today. We know all you MMA heads out there have been fiending for this because it's been years since I've closely fought. My heart was broken when Forrest Griffin said, I'm done. I'm out. When he got out of that cage and ran the other way, I just put my head down like, oh, this dude just retired. But kudos to him, too, in that fight because that was a short notice fight that he did. Yeah. But I got my comments when Weidman took down Silva. So that made me feel better when that finally happened, 4 years later? Yeah. But overall, you're in the house. Welcome to On the Money Sports.
Thanks for having me.
We're stoked.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to have you here, man. This is something a little bit different and new for us as far as having somebody on like yourself. So we're definitely excited to have you on and get things underway, started, and get to hear your side of the story, your side of things, and your side of the ring, so to speak. So it's gonna be dope.
Thank you guys for having me. I definitely want to come in and support the local businesses, and then local things are coming up in Millville area. So happy to be here.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure when someone like yourself or anybody who's made it from out here comes back and gives back a little bit and do things like this for people. So it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, I'm big on that.
So let me just do one thing. Of course, my phone will not be cooperating with me. That's what I want to do right there. Boom. Did that go through? Yeah, it did. All right. So you're from here, right?
Yes, sir. Probably like 5 minutes, 10 minutes away where I live.
Nice.
Hometown.
So wrestling your whole life, or?
Yeah, I started wrestling about 11 years old. Started in about elementary school, got into middle school. That's where it kind of started to get more consistent, and then all through high school. I knew once I started to graduate high school what I wanted to do. College wrestling wasn't really something that I saw myself doing. More so, wasn't really into academics, and it's not really something you can make a financial living off of. So definitely wanted to think long term and what could help me and my family long term financially. So fighting was definitely the way.
So besides wrestling, what else? Do you jiu-jitsu and all that as well?
Yeah, I do. After graduating high school, when I got into MMA, started doing jiu-jitsu first, picked up some boxing, and then just along the way, it's been about kickboxing, a mix of all of it. Got with a team that really does mix martial arts as a whole, so it isn't just stand-up, it isn't just ground game. Like we're doing all the above. We're doing wall work, we're doing tactics, we're doing ground game, we're doing stand-up. So I'm with a really good team right now.
That's awesome. What is the team?
Marquez MMA is one of them. Web Fitness MMA is the other. We don't really have an official team name. That's kind of been loading as we speak. But those are the two gyms that I train out of mostly. One's in Philly and one's in Washington Township, New Jersey.
Okay, so that's close to where you live.
Yeah. Yep.
And they have UFC fighters there.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, we have tons of UFC fighters. We got Sean Brady, we got Joe Pfeiffer, we got Andre Petrosky, we got Jeremiah Wells, we got Randy Brown. The list goes on. There's a bunch of up and coming guys that are coming in too.
That's awesome.
Advantage of all that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
knowledge.
Absolutely. Like being a part of that kind of atmosphere with those guys, like seeing what they're doing to train, how they prep, like their routines, like what it takes to get to the UFC. It's very important. So I'm very observant. I watch those guys. I ask questions. I train with these guys. So it's been very, very fortunate for me to be able to be around these kind of people.
That's awesome. That's you can never stop learning.
No, not at all.
Who would you say would be like your biggest supporter as far as guys that you met so far?
Joe Pyfer. Joe
Nice.
Pyfer's been the number one guy. He's been the front runner for me. He's been constantly planting seeds for me, putting my name in people's ears.
Nice.
When it came to me making my pro debut, he was very persistent on letting people know, like, get this guy a fight, get this guy a fight, get this guy a fight. And not that my coaches weren't really trying, but there's only so much they can do when we have such a big team around us. They got other people to worry about, so to have him really step up to the plate, speak the way he's been speaking about me, it's been very, very, fortunate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to make this jump if it wasn't for him.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
And he got on Contender.
Yes, he got on Contender. That's how he got signed to the UFC. He actually had his first Contender fight, lost because of a takedown. He broke his arm. And so he was able to get back on there, won the second Contender fight, and then he's been on a good run since on the UFC.
Yeah, that's
Knocking everybody out.
Yep.
What the heck? Let me just do that. There you go. Oh, Paul's in the building. Paul's a big MMA guy.
Yeah, for sure.
He was just talking about how he wants us to start doing monthly pay-per-view meetups.
Good idea.
That is a good idea.
This is every weekend.
Yeah, like that's another thing I've noticed. Like before, it used to be like a once in a month,
It's too many
once
fighters.
every 2 to 3 months. Like
Yeah.
now, it's like almost every weekend there's some
That's
type
it.
of card going on.
Yeah, during COVID is when they really started picking it up. I know that they started to like peel back a little bit because they were having so many shows every weekend. So I think it's like maybe like three weekends out of the month they try and have a show. So that's
And they even built their own thing. Well, didn't they go to
The
Dubai
Apex.
or something like
yeah, they're in Abu Dhabi right
Fight
now.
Island.
Yep,
Yeah.
Fight Island. They're in Abu Dhabi right now doing that. So they've definitely stamped their
Because the
business in
Apex
world.
is in Vegas, right?
He
Yep.
just came from
Yep.
Apex.
Because I was reading about wrestling-wise, NXT supposed
He
to.
already did.
Oh, they are. NXT already did do it.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
a show.
I didn't even know.
Yeah,
That's how you know I don't watch
UFC 's mixed
NXT. I just watch the main stuff.
Yeah, the UFC's mixed in with the WWE now. They've got the
Endeavor.
same management company and all that stuff. So definitely in there.
It's a lot of money invested in those two companies.
Oh yeah.
Which
Oh, yeah.
helps them because they're just going to go around looking for talent. Which
And it's crazy because they owe everybody a fight. So they're on the contract for so many fights. So that's why there's so much of this going on.
Yeah. They're
so
constantly,
that
pumping
see,
them out.
it's changed so much from when I originally got into it.
Yeah.
Because my first experience was on the hot box back in the day.
Cut that out.
Oh, everybody had them. There was police that lived around me that had them too. Regardless, I remember was when UFC first started, no weight classes. People were fighting 1, 2, 3 times a night
Yeah.
to win a tournament. Like
Yeah.
that was insane.
It's crazy.
There was no weight classes. You were watching Royce Gracie take on dudes 3 times his size. It was insane just to see where it is now and how organized and division classes. Like, I know a lot of people get mad at me when I say this, but UFC's overtaken boxing, whether boxing wants to admit it or not.
Yeah, boxing's been a dying sport for a long time.
Yeah,
so.
I will say they've kind of hit a little bit of an incline with these recent fights, but for the most part, right now it's hard to keep up with the UFC. They just their job is to put the best fighters against the best fighters, and they just promote it so well. So
Yeah, and honestly, man,
definitely
UFC fighters, MMA fighters, those guys, you guys are cut from a different cloth. I
Yeah,
feel like.
I'm not built for that.
and that's not to disrespect boxing guys or anything
Yeah.
like that, but you guys, the work ethic is there. You guys work hard, and you're not afraid of each other. You know what I mean? If you're number 2 and you want to fight the number 1, and if you're, again, if the number 1 wants to fight you,
There's not politics.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a lot of
Yeah,
politics.
nobody's-
man.
yeah.
Nobody's, scared of
Nobody's
each other.
ducking and
Nobody's
dodging or
ducking.
getting stripped of a
Nobody's
title.
pulling Canelo Alvarez's
yeah.
and, picking up this
I
guy
knew you
and
would
wanna
say
fight.
something about
Yeah,
that.
I'm not happy
You
about
can't
this
pick
fight.
any
man.
fights.
I'm
Nah,
not
the
happy
fight rolling
about it.
right now is this is the 1 and 2 guy going against each other for the number 1 spot. Whoever wins this fight definitely goes for a title fight.
Yeah, see? My point exactly, though. Definitely my
And they're
point
the main
exactly.
event.
You know what it is that back in the day, fighters fought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UFC, they got the best matchmakers, so they're gonna put 1 and 2, whether they want to do it or not.
Right.
This
Right.
is it don't even make sense.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
under contract. You're in the weight class. Let's get this done.
And money
Right.
talks. Money talks.
Yeah, for
A
sure.
lot of these guys, like they're down to fight anybody, but they also want to be sure that they're compensated enough for that. And if
Yeah.
they aren't, then they won't fight. But overall, if you give them, you can give a guy who, I mean, say John Jones and Tom Aspinall, for example. Tom Aspinall's been a wrecking ball since he's joined the heavyweight division, and John Jones is now the heavyweight champion. So like, he's been in the game for so long, while Tom Aspinall hasn't, and he's so good. Everyone knows John Jones, but Tom Aspinall is so good that everyone's like, he should skip over Stipe and fight John Jones. And John Jones is kind of up in the air about that. He wants to fight Stipe because he's considered the greatest heavyweight of all time, and it makes sense politically for him to fight him because
Yeah.
if he wins, it would stamp him as the greatest fighter of all time. But realistically, I mean, a lot of fighters know that if Tom Aspinall fights John Jones, like that would be John Jones' toughest matchup, and that could very much end in a knockout.
I watched his first fight, and then after that, I just fell in love with the guy because it was quick and he was so well rounded. It's just not wrestling; it's the stand up. Like,
Right.
yeah, and it's that whole family though.
Yeah, they're all athletes.
Chandler Jones, all of them boys are.
And
Yeah.
the mom is blind.
It's,
Really? I didn't know
yeah,
That's crazy. That's great. I didn't know that.
yo, like that whole family is just like you just
All
use
Super
that
Bowls.
phrase, cut from a cloth. Yeah,
Super Bowl
champions.
all of them.
Yeah,
That is wild.
that's insane.
That is wild.
That's like T.J. Watt's, his the Watt brothers,
Yeah.
like that's insane too. Like
yeah.
there's just some families that just them genetics, man.
They just pump them out. They just pump them out.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is you've experienced the UFC Apex with your fighters, Piper? Tell us about that. What's that like?
It's a good experience for sure to be in there and be a part of kind of what goes on fight week. They go in there. Usually you're trying to just make weight. So other than just like that, it'll be media stuff. So you're going in there, you're talking to media people, doing different interviews, answering the same kind of questions. But all that's just kind of, part of the game. It's not really anything where it's like in depth as far as like the UFC is not like got you on some kind of monitor testing you all this stuff. Like it really is just about going in there, doing the interviews and just making the weight, but being in there, seeing the atmosphere, seeing how they kind of operate, being in the PI, seeing how they operate things. Like it's a facility. Like these guys are in there morning, night, working. Like
They want to see if you want it.
Exactly. And they're working on like I go in. I've gone every day. I've gone in there. It's been a different fighter in there that you would see on TV in there, getting work done by a trainer or doing a strength conditioning circuit. Like there's so many guys there. Like it's funny actually. While I was out there, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Yuri Prohaska, who just fought Alex Pereira.
Yeah, the guys at work were telling me about it.
I was over there, and his training partner wasn't able to make it because he got court-martialed. So his coach came over to my team and asked my coach if they had anybody that would be able to help him train for his fight because he didn't have his main training partner there. So they asked me to do it.
Oh,
And
sure.
I immediately said yes. It turns out I wasn't able to because he ended up finding somebody to come in and help him out. But just having that interaction and that potential opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
It's like it's planting seeds. These guys are seeing me. They're familiar. Like they see the face. They'll remember me some way, somehow. And it's definitely a foot in the door. So like just being a part of that whole atmosphere, that whole mix of it, it definitely lets me know that I'm right in the right path.
Yeah, because especially by doing that, that also opens their eyes when they look at these other cards, the Cage Fury cards and all that. And when they see, like when they see and they see you go out, be successful, win a fight. Oh, I remember talking to him. We were talking to him back over here.
Networking.
What do you guys think? Maybe we should get him back in over here and just see what we can do.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, it's good. It's been definitely been I've been very fortunate to be a part of this team, especially starting out how I started before. When I first started doing MMA, I was 0-4. I didn't win any fights. I was losing every fight. And granted, I didn't have the experience. I wasn't really a part of a structured team. I was with somebody that kind of told me he would be able to lead me in a direction to get me to that place, but it wasn't really what he said it would be. So I had to reevaluate things and get a job, make some money, and really look for a gym that was going to be able to do that for me. And I wasn't sure how that was going to happen. And luckily enough, I had a teammate of mine that was a friend of mine, and he reached out. He said, "Hey, there's this gym that's having a grand opening. I think I think we should go and check it out. I think you would like it. And I don't think he was really ever doing it for himself either. It was more so like for me. He was looking out for me.
Yeah.
So he was like, just come in, let's go check it out. And as soon as I walked in, like I fell in love with the facility, the atmosphere, the people there. I talked to the guy, the head coach, which is my coach now, Jonathan Webb, and had a talk with him, got to coordinating, and then was able to train there. And ever since then, it's just
great.
It's been up.
And it's funny you say that because I'm a big pro wrestling guy. And I was watching an Undertaker interview not too long ago where he talks about his first wrestling school. He pays this guy a load of money, does one like lesson, and never sees like the guy again like that.
Wow.
A legend back like then he could, if he had never been front and up straight one from the front, he could have the goal to say, "Hey, look what I trained! Look what I was able to do." Yeah, and that's crazy to hear that it even happens in that world as well. That's insane.
Yeah.
So once you joined this team, like, did you start getting back on track? You started in your matches per se, like what you were doing wrong in those losses, correcting themselves in the wins.
Absolutely. And the main thing was that I didn't have the experience. So everything, when I started joining this team, everything was new for me. Like
It's like a baby.
I was a white belt, literally a white belt in jiu-jitsu, white belt and striking, white belt and everything. I was a sponge from the very beginning, just taking in all the information I could and just building off of that. These guys, they gave me an opportunity to fight a short notice fight for a Cowboy, Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah.
He has a promotion called Cowboy Fight Series, and he gave me the opportunity to fight on it. And I had just been training with the gym for like maybe a month or so, and realistically, I don't think anybody else would take that opportunity, but I wanted that opportunity. I feel like one, I could win. Two, it was showing my coaches that I was serious about this, that even though I lost those first 3 fights, I really wanted to go out there and make something of this. Despite me going out there and losing, I showed them that I was willing to do whatever it took to win, and I was willing to risk it if I needed to.
Yeah.
So having that mentality and them seeing that, they pushed forward with me, they put the time into me, and it's just been a development ever since.
That's awesome. And that's a great attitude to have too.
So that kind of sparked the interest all over again.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. Like,
return the flame.
Yeah, and through that time of just not training, like I remember, even through that time, through that time of losing, I remember having a moment like one of the matches that I lost. I remember just saying like, I'm done. Like I'm not gonna, I quit. Like, and I remember saying it in the ring, but it just didn't sit right with me. It just didn't sit right with me, and I couldn't just leave it at that.
Because it wasn't all your fault because you weren't taught the proper way.
Exactly.
So you're getting thrown in there and you're figuring out things on the fly.
Exactly.
And that's not fair to you.
Right. And all I really had was wrestling experience, and like just going in there and I immediately knew the first fight that I had, I was like, I'm not ready for this. I wanted to fight. I was very eager, very ambitious, but as soon as it was time to make that walk and go into the cage, I was like, I'm not ready for this. This isn't what I expected. Something about it just felt very like wary and uncertain as far as like this guy he was a part of a team. The guy I went against first, he was a part of a team. It just seemed like they had the right idea going. Where like me, I was kind of just like guessing. It was always like I knew I had the heart, I knew I had the mentality, but I knew I had the wrestling background, but I had no real experience and no structure in like defending myself by any means, or even just being able to implement my own game. And like we all start on the feet, so wrestling starts on the feet too, but you're grappling. There's no strikes being thrown. So going in there into a fight and having that only wrestling experience, and you have a guy throwing punches at you, it's different, and especially when you don't. I had those 3 fights. And I may have sparred maybe a handful of times in those 3 fights. So like no real experience with fighting other people too. So like I just had to figure it out. I had to stop putting myself in that situation because it was dangerous. Like the game's only getting deadlier. Like the game's only getting better. So like being able to really check myself, pull back a little bit and reevaluate what I was doing, and then be able to find this team. Like it's been a long process, and it still is. But like even through that time, it was always about sharpening the skills, getting better. I YouTubed everything. It was when I didn't have a gym, I was always training on my own, trying to do what I can. I'm sure if you ask people at Planet Fitness now, if they remember me, they would see me in there, always shadow boxing, throwing different. I was that weird guy that punched in the gym. I was that
there
weird
ain't
guy.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I definitely
Look what
had a
it's
direction.
gotten.
Exactly, I had a direction. It was definitely intentional. There was something to it. I wasn't just somebody that was just throwing kicks in the air just to look cool or get looked at. I was doing this because I didn't have anywhere else to do it, and I knew that I was going to be.
And were you paying fees like with this coach that was supposed to be?
No, and that was one thing I was very fortunate of. I've had people in my life that have been willing to help me without asking anything in return, and I didn't pay by any means the guy that was trying to help me, and that's kind of where it goes. Like you don't want to be ungrateful,
Yeah.
Like, these guys are helping you out, and they're at least giving you an opportunity to do this thing that you love doing. So it's kind of hard to be like, I can't do this with them because they're letting me do this for free, And so having that hard conversation with myself to be able to like make that decision was very, very hard, and it was important though, because without that, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here today.
Awesome.
So
sometimes the right thing is sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like now, like I've had conversations with myself, like, yeah, it's nice to have people that are willing to help you and not want anything in return, but there's a certain level, a certain standard that's held when you are kind of paying somebody to do these things for you, like whether you have a strength conditioning coach or a team and all that stuff. Like there's a certain level of expectation, because it's a transaction. Like you're putting in time, you're also putting in money, so they're going to put in time and they're also going to put in the effort.
They're going to match
get you there.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important that you're able to, and even if you don't do it at that time, when you have the opportunity to then give back, that you do. And I'm very, very keen on that.
That's awesome. That's a great attitude to have. To just see that and the way it's evolved, and
all comes back full circle.
Yeah. Like when you think about it, once you got into this team and then you start seeing the changes and all that, did it ease your mind a little bit better? Like I made the right decision.
Absolutely. Other than just seeing the progress that I've developed on my own, getting that first win was very important to me. It was something that meant a lot to me personally, and getting over that hump was something that meant a lot to me. And I remember talking to somebody after, the promoter that actually had me on his card. He came up to me because he knew the guy that I was working with before, and he sees that I'm with a different team. So he knew that I was definitely, like, especially where I came from being 0-3, he knew that I was trying to make something of this.
Yeah.
And he came up to me, he talked to me, and he said, listen, man, like, I know what you've been through. I understand. And a lot of people would hang it up, especially in your position. I don't know anybody that would still be doing this in your circumstance. And by that, they mean my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, winning is contagious, and you just won. So keep being infected by it. And that's just,
it's like regular sports. When a batter is in a 0 for 15 slump, a kicker or is missing kicks, and then all you need is the one big one, the one good swing, a quarterback who's 0 for 3, finally game's on the line, you hit that one pass and you get back in the rhythm. That's what it is. Once you get that one, it just gets easier, because now you feel like you're lightening the load on your shoulders just a bit, and you feel more confident and you feel more loose when the next one.
And that's kind of where we're at now today. Exactly. Making this pro debut, it's been nothing but obstacles trying to get here. Inactivity has been one thing, because either opponents are pulling out, you have your injuries in MMA where you can't really go out there and fight, or just things aren't lining up, and COVID happened too, so that put everybody on a halt too. And while everyone was getting back into that, it was even harder for me to get back into it, because they were so strict on rules and stipulations, regulations, all that stuff. So like, just regular people fighting MMA were struggling to get fights. So imagine me trying to get a fight. They're like, oh, we're not going to risk you going out there and fighting all that stuff. So to finally get to this point now, that's kind of where we're at now. Like having to get that pro debut and break through, because say I don't win, these guys aren't going to let me fight. They're not. It's a professional level. It's a dangerous sport. You can definitely get hurt in this. And so going out there and doing what needs to be done, making a statement is important. So
to touch back on the eye situation. So when did that happen?
Happened my junior year in high school. It was I remember going out, and paintballing with some friends, and it was a fun day. It was a good day. It was towards the end of the day, and it's funny enough, I didn't get shot all day, so no one shot me at all. I'm actually pretty good at paintballing, and I remember going out. We were going to refuel, get back out there to paintball again, and I had maybe like 1 or 2 balls in the tank, and it wasn't my gun. I was holding somebody else's gun. I was using it, and so as I'm going to go sit down and reload my gun, I'm going to go like rest, recover. I took off my helmet. I go to sit down. I have the gun facing upwards. The reason why, a lot of people are like, why would you do that? The reason why is because it wasn't my gun, and I was trying to be very careful with it, and I didn't want the barrel facing the ground and like get it all scratched up, messed up. So I had the tank facing down. And as I sit down, the tank hits the floor, and I'm looking down as I sit down, and my finger slips and hits the trigger and shoots up and hits me in the eye.
Ooh.
So, that happened, and it was a very, very freak accident. I had to go to the hospital. Immediately, they told me that my eyeball ruptured, split in half, so they had to like stitch it back together, all that stuff. I went through a whole like.
And how old were you at that point?
16, 17.
Was that after wrestling season or during?
It was after wrestling season. Not too long after wrestling season too. It was starting to. It was right at the end of the season, going into like springtime, summertime when it happened. So.
You came out your senior year.
Yep.
I was just gonna ask, how long was it before you started fighting?
Yeah, as soon as I think it was, they let me. I started at the beginning of the season, so it didn't take too long for them to get me back into sports. But it was like one of those things where they had me wear goggles, and they were kind of speculating because they've never dealt with that before. They've never dealt with somebody with that kind of accident.
Because New Jersey Commission would still have to approve because of the high school level, and since
and like the doctors and all that stuff, they weren't sure what was really possible because what they didn't want to happen was wrestling, you're snapping down, your hand fighting, fingers are gonna get in the face.
Yeah.
So they didn't want something to happen where the eye falls out or like the eye gets scratched again and like splits or anything like that. So that was kind of the back and forth on whether or not to wear the goggles, to not wear the goggles. Eventually, we just said the hell with the goggles, and we were going to risk it. And it panned out the best.
How hard was it to get your parents involved, like to convince them? Because I know that had to be hard.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Was it
definitely tough?
Which parent was easier to say, "Go ahead and go do it again"?
So I'm not. My father's not in my life, so it was just my mom.
Okay.
And she was very up in the air about it, but she knew how I was, and she knew that whatever I said I was going to do, I was going to do. And if I decided no, that was probably where
Did
she
she
was
still show up the matches and all that?
So
or
she showed up to the matches. Yeah, she came. She was always a big supporter in that aspect. She always came. She was the loudest person in the wrestling room.
The nervousness that had to just
definitely.
She would look at you like, "Don't say nothing about my son."
Yeah. She was very protective in that sense. Yeah, so it was definitely hard on her to have me go through that. But it was my decision. Ultimately, she knew that I was gonna find a way to figure it out. So I did have a good season that year. I think it was 34-2. I ended up losing the round before. Yeah, I ended up losing the round before placing in states. So
districts was.
I won districts. I took second in regions, and then in the states, I lost the round before placing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's rough too, because it's your senior year, and if you just look at it, everything you battled through, like that
was the thing.
I've been out there.
That's success.
Yeah, I mean, and even like people don't even know, but like the year before that, I started wrestling later in the season because I had knee surgery, and I had knee surgery sophomore year. But then going into my junior year, I had to get another knee surgery because
a cleanup.
It was because my knee got infected, and I don't know. Like they said, I don't know why or how, but they said I had some kind of yeast infection in my knee. So it was weird.
Who the hell did the surgery?
Right, that's
we got a lawyer on hand.
I remember the guy and everything, but no, he said that there was a yeast infection, so they had to go in there and clean it up. So like that put me even further back, and so I didn't get to wrestle my junior year until like literally into the postseason, like February.
You were able to get in,
I was able to get
enough
in
to qualify.
Enough to qualify. I had a couple regular matches to go into it, and I was able to get in there and wrestle for the individual part of it. And even then, I took second in districts, I took third in regions, and then I think I might have lost like my second or third match in states, and then that's when they cut me off. But I made it to states even with quarter of the season in my junior year.
Wow.
So my whole 4-year span.
Superstitions in high school?
No, I wasn't big. I wasn't big into superstitions.
I know
probably
someone
were
here
then.
who did.
I was probably like that then, but I mean now I've kind of rid myself of all those things. I would always like try and like do certain things to kind of get me going or anything like that. But now I'm just kind of I would say more of a free spirit. However I am, however I feel, that's who goes into battle with me.
Somebody here sophomore year was having a bad season, blamed it on his girlfriend. So the following year told her don't show up to my matches. I'm not gonna say that, but the crazy part is he won.
Yeah. There you go.
So I will say that.
That's good. That's good, man. That's good.
That was hilarious during that time period. Yo, I'll never forget
At
that.
215.
Yeah.
160.
Yeah.
Because no, it was junior year you were bad.
Yeah, my junior.
It was sophomore year you were
I was
doing
getting laid.
215. I'm not even gonna say how you got the 215. That's a story for another day.
That was illegal.
Yeah.
Yo,
They weren't
this
asking
cat
questions
was trashing big boys with his speed.
20
And I'm just saying, like, I went to a match, just laughing. I'm like, yo, I said, I just looked, and my dad was like, yo, it's not 215.
that.
I remember showing him the newspaper because, they would show, like, back then, the Daily Journal was actually good.
Yeah.
And they would show the high school sports and all that. And I would, like, looking at the wrestling thing, and my dad would bring out the newspaper and goes, look, he's in the paper today. Like, real quick. I was like, and my dad had me dying because my dad would just look and go, that boy is not 215. He comes to my house, he's like $150, $160. And so then junior year is when you were with your girl, and you were like, yo, he was bad those first couple. It was him that struggled. Ricky struggled. A lot of the Violent High Cats struggled that year.
Yeah.
In 2000.
We were all getting
99,
Girls weak
2000.
in the knees. Girls weak in the knees.
And then senior year, he came back full force. Them cats were,
160.
yeah.
Actual weight for the first time.
Violent High had a team back then. The
We
Giordano's.
just got in trouble. We all got in trouble.
Yo, like, they were good. Erickson was, and like I said, God rest his soul, Erickson, he was a genetic freak.
He beat Tom Earl.
Yeah.
State champion.
Genetic freak, but lazy. And that's not saying bad of the dead.
No.
I'm just stating what we used to say to him when we would be next to him.
Yeah.
Rob Hayek was actually my coach.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Bad.
It was-
bad
He was an
attitude.
assistant with
We used to all be like, yeah, we're gonna do
what was his wrestling name?
Sugar Shack. Jack.
Sugar Shack Jack.
Scarpa.
Coach Scarpa.
Oh, I know Coach Scarpa. Yeah.
So what do you think? Okay, Rob. What do you think of Rob Hayek as a person?
So I've never really had like any like personal like interactions with him. I will say though, like he was kind of one of those guys that kind of put the nail in the coffin for me to be able to turn pro. When he heard that they weren't going to let me fight in PA, he tried to speak to the commission, just wasn't having it. So he knew that he was having a card in Jersey. And from what my coach told me, he was very persistent in making sure and asking these guys, like, please let him fight. Please let him fight. And I only assumed from what my coaches and teammates were saying to Rob that, he wanted to help support that. So he was persistently talking to the doctors in Trenton and trying to let them know, like, yeah, like this kid's dealing with this, but he can fight. Like, we need to find a way to clear him to fight. And he was able to get the commissioner, Nick Lumbo, to finally clear it and make it happen.
Did you have to go through any battery of tests or anything like that?
Yeah, they took me to a couple eye examiners to get me eye tested, and they knew exactly what was going on with my eye. It was more so to make sure that my left eye was good and still healthy, and I was still able to see. And from what they said, like my left eye is still good. It's healthy. It's perfect condition.
So you see nothing, like no shades or anything from.
I tell everybody this: I can fight with this eye. So that's the thing. I can fight with this eye. So that's all I can say about that.
So is every state the same way, or
it's a hit or miss. Some states are that way, some states aren't. I was able to fight in Delaware before. I've fought in Virginia as well. So those are more the southern states where they're not really as strict. They're loose with that. So
listen, man, if you can pass the test and a doctor feels comfortable, why not? I don't know that.
Yeah.
And my doctors that did the surgery, they were very adamant on the form to let them know that this isn't a handicap by any means. he's ready to do whatever it is that he wants to do. So
that's
awesome.
awesome.
That was the main thing, was getting them to sign off on that and say that, so that any further like obstacles, they would say like, oh well, what's his doctor who did the surgery say? And it says he's not handicapped. He can do any sports. So
You just gotta also think a lot of commissions, they're old school, bro.
Yeah.
So they look at MMA.
Bro, they still do pro wrestling.
No,
Like
but
that's crazy. No,
pro wrestling.
I know, you know what I mean.
especially
like-
when it's yeah, I get what you're saying.
They're looking at it as a barbaric sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I
they
mean?
shouldn't. It's not. There's
But
highly.
that's what they're doing.
They got trainers on both sides. They
Yeah.
got medical people everywhere, and this stuff is now state of the art.
Yeah, the UFC is definitely one of those guys where they take care of their athletes as far as like I've heard my teammates say like, oh, the UFC is sending me here, sending me there to go get this or that, stem
Once
cells
you're in,
here,
you're
stem
in.
cells there. Yeah, so
Stem
definitely want
cells.
to. Yeah,
I gotta look it up on that because I see a lot of athletes are doing like stem cell treatment.
apparently it helps out a lot with recovery, healing. Any kind of injuries you have, especially like long-term injuries. Like say you've been dealing with this since like high school days, and you're in your mid-20s or 30s, that you just start to feel like it's brand new again from the stem cells. So
Yeah, and the Apex, I'm guessing it's everything you need.
yeah,
Like, you can live there.
they have. You can. They
You
have.
can just live for real.
They have a cafeteria. I was
How
at
big
the-
is this ape? Like,
on Roku, they have a series. And
Okay.
It shows you everything that's
Yeah.
inside that Apex.
It's a facility for sure.
It's
It's
like-
like something you see in a movie. Like it's a facility.
Like a
Like,
whole country.
yeah,
All by yourself. You work out every level is something different.
yeah,
shit for
It's in
a
Vegas,
nerd
in
like
the
me,
middle
it's
of nowhere,
Xavier's
but-
mansion.
yeah. It's big.
And they bring all the fighters from all over the world. Just
Yep.
stay right there.
And then you gotta have translators and all that. So that's
So
Yeah.
amazing.
everybody's there.
And they're just building Apex. They're just building. Oh, I would say it's the Apex, but then there's also the PI, the Performance Institute, and they're building the Performance Institute in Mexico.
Yeah,
they got
they're
it in
doing them everywhere
Vegas.
now.
They got it in different.
That's
Like
so
they got it
much
in Abu Dhabi. They got it in so many places in the world that
Wow.
they're just claiming their spot as the premier sport.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible because now you can figure if there's probably going to build another Apex somewhere.
They're
You got a
doing
West Coast, you put one on the East Coast. I
Yeah.
could see New
Well,
York.
I'm sure the plan is to make
I mean,
Atlantic
New York
City
would be
great
terrible.
again. The plan is to make Atlantic City great again. So given they give me the opportunity, we keep doing what we're doing. They'll have one on the East Coast and bring light to Atlantic City.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
have
something that I'd like to do.
Atlantic City needs it.
Yeah,
like-
I'd like to do that. I like to be the guy that's the front runner on that.
Everybody should have seen Atlantic City gambling and all that was dying ahead of the time. There's so many casinos that are empty, like
Yeah.
that you can knock those buildings down if you want, and you can build. Like they still got the Atlantic City Surf Stadium just sitting there.
Yeah, I've heard that they like back then it was like very, very popular. I've seen like
Booming.
old movies, like
Booming.
so many. It was
Remember when
so
we went to the UFC
popular.
fight?
We used to go. My first UFC fight I ever went to live was with him.
I was in the front row.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
he wasn't supposed to be.
Dana White comes by us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They started from here. They worked their way
all
down
the way
here.
down.
And he's calling me like, "Yo, you can come with." I'm like, "Nah, bro, I'm not doing this."
You get
Arlovski
kicked out.
was in the main event.
Yeah, I bought the poster. I
Yeah.
still got the poster somewhere at my parents' house. Arlovski, it was his first championship defense after he won the heavyweight
He
title.
knocked it out quick.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who was the dude that did the tiger knee, bro? Like it was like this. He tiger kneed the dude. I forget who it was. Came like he was like a pimp to the ring with a hat, jacket, the whole.
Shoney.
Asian guy?
No, he's black dude.
I can't remember his name, man.
Shawnee.
And I remember he got. Boom! It looked like
He
something from
used to be
Street
like
Fighter.
He would come out like a pimp.
Yeah.
Shoney Carter.
Yo, he got tiger kneed like if I was playing Street Fighter. Like Sagat just went across the ring, like pop, and dropped him dead.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Out here, you go to the fights out there. It's different. I went to the Tito versus Machida fight. BJ Penn versus Sharp.
Yeah, our fight wasn't like this.
No.
Oof.
Yeah.
Then I went to the one up in Newark when it was Jariah Faber got knocked out by Henan Barral.
Mm. Was that when John Jones fought on that one?
He was supposed to.
Yeah.
But Henan Barral, man, he was something.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know. He just declined all the way down.
The sport moves fast, man. I
Yeah,
think
it
that's a
does.
mentality thing. Like it's something that like I try to remind myself too, especially breaks are nice, recovery's always there, but like and that's where it's almost like John Jones too. Like you sit back long enough, these guys will come and bite your ass.
I'm noticing like before fights, like a fighter will fight maybe twice, 3 times a year tops. I'm starting to see some of these fighters
Once every other year.
Yeah, I'm starting to see now like 4 or 5 times guys are trying to get out there.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen that. I always
You know
thought it was
why?
because
Those
to
are the
recover.
underguys,
Yeah,
the Bobby Green.
yeah,
Tim
like
Greens.
the mid card guys are going out there fighting as much. Like I thought it was because of a recovery for your body because it's such
No,
a
bro, it's money.
it's brutal.
That and if you that also too, like if say you're healthy after the fight, like and you're capable of going back into it, then yeah, by all means get maximize on your youth, maximize on the opportunity to make more money. But like you also got to be smart. If you are injured, like sit back, recover, heal up, then get back in there. But it's very much like the sport's so advanced now. Like guys have a team behind them where like they can get the proper recovery, they can get the proper supplements, whatever the case is, to get them going and get them ready for the next one.
Holland got 5 fights in.
Yeah. Yep.
5.
So you're fighting Tyree Sutton, I think his name
Yep,
is, right?
Tyree
Sutton,
Sutton.
August 16th in Atlantic City. What's it been like preparing for him?
Well, from what I know, he's a wrestler. He won states for Keensburg. He was the first ever state champion for Keensburg. I think that's up in North Jersey. We were in the same state tournament. He was a heavyweight class than me.
Oh wow, who would have thought?
Yeah, I don't think he
Small
doesn't
world.
know that, but I'm familiar. I remember watching him win his
Nice.
state championship. But he's got a little bit of kickboxing experience. But he's primarily a wrestler. So I expect him to be explosive, come forward, and try and brawl out. But this is MMA. We got more than just wrestling. We've got more than just kickboxing. So it's about the mentality, the heart, the skill, and all that stuff. So it's been good. Honestly, it's having the guys that I have on my team. You don't really get that in too many gyms. So I'm dealing with UFC level guys every day.
That's awesome,
every
man.
day. So the guys that I'm going against, I'm well prepared.
Nice.
Honestly, it's been a very, very long camp. Like I said, I was supposed to fight in June against him. Then the whole PA commission thing happened, so they pushed me to August. So when I first got the announcement for the fight initially, I was already going into camp. 2 months going into the June card, and then they told me it got pushed to August. So that 2 months turned into 5 months, and now it's just been a very long camp. So now I'm at the point where I'm just ready to go fight. I'm ready to go fight.
You're
Make it happen. And
There's nothing else. Like you're
nothing
just
else to do.
That's awesome.
Just staying sharp, getting the rounds in. I got 2 more sparring sessions to do, and now we're there. So
Nice.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
how does the damn. How can I put this? Because money wise, like, do you get paid?
This one I will get paid. So now that I'm turning professional, they will pay me for this fight. They pay me for making weight.
You ain't gotta say you don't gotta say the amount.
No, yeah. No, I understand. They pay me for making weight, and then they pay me for winning the fight. And then on top of that, I'll make a percentage off of the ticket sales.
Nice.
So
That's
the
good.
good thing is too is as an amateur, that was kind of the same thing too. Before, guys weren't really making money as amateurs, but as I started coming up, right around when I started is where they started to kind of pay their amateur fighters just for ticket sales. So I was able to make a little bit of money here, at least have an idea on what it's like to make money.
It's crazy
So-
how similar that is to like.
And now it's
Bringing
like
it
a
back.
contract, like the
Yeah.
UFC contract.
Oh
3
yeah.
to 5 fights.
I'm doing one fight at a time. As long as
Okay.
I'm outside of the UFC, it'll always be one fight contracts. I forbid myself getting into any multi-fight deals with companies or businesses. This is
Smart.
simply just one fight deals, and just moving on.
Yeah.
You hear that, Cumberland County? Let's get some butts and seats August 16th.
Yes, sir.
Not only like I was about to say, like the similarities about how you said amateurs and all that. It reminds me of again wrestling, how house shows like DTW back in the day. Those guys weren't getting paid like that, but
I
now
didn't get paid.
Yeah, I know you
Professional
didn't.
wrestling match. I didn't.
It's crazy.
But now you like when you start going up, how it just increases, and that's that's interesting. To make weight and a decision like that. So you got a chance to maximize.
In a few areas.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. And on top
that's a
of
great
that,
incentive.
yeah. On top of that, you create opportunities as far as sponsorships. People will want to sponsor you. They want to be a part of your train and your stock. So having people like that see you fight and you come out on top, like it's gonna generate more money there. And the more money you make, it obviously allows you to focus more on the training. Ultimately, that's what it is for me. All my money's
Yeah.
going into training. All my
Yeah.
money is just for me to be as healthy as possible, as strong as possible, as focused as possible into my training.
And no matter what, the number one payout is that W.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not even the money
Absolutely.
you get. It's just
No.
winning. That feeling
Yep.
alone is gonna supersede all that.
It makes all of that better. It makes all of
Yeah.
that worth it. The money's money. It'll come and go, but you don't get to take that with you into the next life. It's ultimately the result of the effort you put in.
Absolutely.
Great way to put it.
So you're focused.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long one. And not even just the 5 months of this fight camp. It's just been all the stuff I've had to go through just to get here and turn pro. I had to deal with this stuff as an amateur, just getting amateur fights, and then we finally cleared the cobwebs from there. And then now it was about whether or not they let me go pro, and that was always a coin flip. And all of the work that I've been putting in, I've been doing this since 2017, 2018, and all the work I've put into this, there were times where it was like, are they going to let me do this? Like, all this work I'm putting in, is it all going to be for nothing? And they just like tell me, no, I'm just not going to let you fight. It was out of my control, where other guys have the opportunities. Like they're trying to, like my opponent, like he fought maybe a handful of times in the MMA amateurs, and then did some kickboxing fights, and he already knew he wanted to go pro, and that wasn't something that he had to question. Like he had the opportunity to just go in and go pro whenever he wanted. Whereas for me, it was always a matter of, will they let me? Like, I'm doing all this work, will they even let me turn pro? And the longer it took, the longer we were waiting, the more it was like, we're not sure if it's going to happen. So, luckily, having the people around me that are around me to speak for me and plant the seeds that were planted, it was able to, come to fruition.
Nice.
I gotta admit, the way you've kept your optimism and kept your confidence, like that's
You're no
a lot of
stranger to
people
struggle,
would,
bro. That's for sure.
yeah, a lot of people would have been like,
No.
deuces,
No,
I'll just go do something else.
Wait till you see the documentary, man. It's my life. My life's been nothing but a struggle, man. People don't even know. I mean, you're familiar with my mom and all that stuff, but life domestically, life growing up was nothing but a struggle. So I finally graduated high school, stepping into adulthood. I finally stepped into the light of freedom, and then stepping into that when I had to face a new obstacle, which was what I chose to do with my life. So, and that'll come out. That'll come out soon. I have people around me that are invested in me and that want to get my story out there. So, it's definitely
Has MMA always been like UFC? Has that always been the goal?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've set my mind long time ago on what I wanted to do, the goals that I have, and the UFC seems to be the platform to do that. That's the platform that seems to be prevalent in today's day. That's going to allow me to stamp myself as what I set myself to be. So I mean, if it was Bellator, then yeah, Bellator. If it was one championship, then one championship. If it was PFL, then PFL. But we all know the best promotion in the world. It's the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the platform to do it on, and that's the goal. Get there and do what I set out to do and do
It's
it.
like a kid living a dream wants to be in the NFL. You don't want to play for the UFL or
Yeah.
But I've known him forever. So
Yeah.
I've never met somebody who was this dedicated ever. As a kid, he would tell me, "This is what I'm gonna." Like we were talking about Shaka. He told me one day. He sat there. He goes, "I could do the math. If I stay healthy, I can beat those records." You remember that? Never seen somebody, and this was a kid. He also, I don't think I forgot, he ankle picked the shit out of me. He did. He ankle picked the shit out of me, and I got up like, oh.
He threw me a lot of times.
Yeah.
He threw me a lot of times.
For those of you not seeing on the side talking, is Edgar the Beast.
That's my guy right there, man. He's been very supportive from the very beginning, man. He sees what I'm doing, and he was very, very much like, he's proud of me, and that's something that I don't get too much as a kid. Like, I've had people come into my life and help me, but to have, like, I'm thankful for him, but there are a bunch of other people that have been in my life that I haven't heard anything from them, and I know that they're watching.
There's one person I know.
They're always watching.
Yeah.
There's one
Always
person
watching.
I know that sees talent. Wrestling is him. He's been wrestling his entire life since a kid. Like, I remember sleeping over his house, finding a picture, going, what the hell is this? And it was Violent Vipers.
So like when I met him, I remember I seen him and I was like, he's perfect. He's tall. He didn't have muscles like this, but he had muscles. He was just growing up.
Yeah.
By the time he became a senior, I was like, wow, And I brought, I don't know if you remember Randy.
Oh yeah. I
Randy
remember
came out, and,
Yeah.
and Randy used to be like, "Yeah, these guys, they're not as good as we were." I was like, "Yeah, they're not. Go wrestle him right there." Trashed him.
Randy was good in high school.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And I remember Randy telling me like, "Yo, he's dope," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. We don't just waste time here,
Yeah.
you know."
Yeah.
But
no.
he's always had that.
How did you get into the Millville coaching scene for?
Frankie Flowers?
Mhm.
He was doing 360 wrestling. He saw me out ShopRite. He's like, "You still wrestle?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I got these guys." He came up with a master class. It was you, Mahoney,
Mhm.
Johan,
Johan.
Johan.
Dazon.
Yeah. I remember that.
Millville had us. That's
They had
crazy
squad.
how you wrestled for Vineland. The whole goal was to kick Millville's ass, and then you became a Millville coach.
Yeah, he joined us.
Yeah, and I used to always tell Justin, I used to be like, "Can't you be like this guy?"
I never knew that. I never knew that.
So he's just,
They went to school together, or
He was older. He was like a few years older than me. He was a few years older.
I used to be like, "Why can't you be like him?"
But that was
He does everything like you're supposed to.
yeah. Now he was. They always put me with those guys. He was a few years older than me. I remember always being with the high school guys and all
Yeah,
that
we
stuff.
always wanted to put him against the
Yeah, I
best,
was
just to
never
see how
going
he
against kids my
This kid
size
never
or my
backed up.
age.
never backed up, wrestled hard. He wouldn't give up. Whistle blow, he's still there. I'm just,
Even now, I mean, I'm in the room with guys that I'm technically an amateur still. I'm making my pro debut, but leading up to the guys that joined my team, like they would always put me with the UFC guys, and that was kind of the theme of it. They were always like, "Man, Jose doesn't hesitate. He doesn't back down from anybody. I put him against anybody, he'll go without a blink of an eye." And that's just how I find out, man. I know what I set out to do, and if beating his ass is what's going to show that, then I'm here to do that.
So,
Hell yeah.
where did you get the name of Hitman?
The Real Hitman, that came. That's a funny story. It's actually very, very simple. I was in the bathroom, just using the bathroom, and I was thinking about names to call myself, and it was more so like just the embodiment. And I could easily just say the Hitman, but for me, I think we live in a world where people like to be direct and specific, and I want to tell them this is the real deal. This is the real Hitman.
Right.
And to be a hitman, to be an assassin, it's methodical, it's structured, it's meticulous, and when you get the call for a name to go kill, it's already done deal. It's already set. The guy is just on the clock,
Yeah.
and that's
That's a great way to say
that's
it.
essentially what's going on. So you give me a name,
Absolutely.
that guy's on the clock, and that's kind of just how that's the approach that I have, is to go out there and just finish it. It's not a matter. He knows. The guy knows what he's up against when he knows that a hit is put out for him. It's this guy's coming to kill me. It's not a matter of, well, I gotta beat this guy. This guy's coming to kill me, and it's already set in stone. They know what's going to happen. They can't stop it. It's just a matter of time.
Mindset.
Yes. Fighting in a hole is a mindset. Like, you got to be confident. You got to be able to look across the ring. Like, I respect you, but I'm going to kick your ass. Like, you can't be like, I'm going to try. Like, you can't have that mentality. You're going to lose every time.
And he showed this as he was young. Like, we would bring guys in. Over there. He's like, okay. Not like, now he's bigger than me. He was wrestling everybody, every challenge. Adults, he was wrestling us.
Yeah.
As a kid, it's just like, can't teach that.
No,
Can't teach that.
Nah, it's a mindset.
I wish I recognized that early on, because I didn't. I was just, honestly, as a kid, I was just doing it. And I guess that's a good thing too, is because if I started to think too much about it, I guess I'd overwhelm myself.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm glad that I have people like you to attest to that.
Yeah.
That I was like that from a very young age.
That's because you never gave into fear. You were fearless. It's real stuff.
Yeah.
Never gave into fear. We had other guys like this. Yo, go wrestle me. Oh man, I used to. We just talked about Heaton's state champion. As a little kid, didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, go run. No, I don't want to do it. It was always like that. This guy was killing everybody.
Yeah.
And we were bringing in adults. Like, there you go.
That's hard to have that mindset, even as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because as a teenager,
he comes up with, like, there's a story to tell.
Yeah, no, definitely. I grew up a middle child, so it was very overlooked, neglected, and it was rough growing up in my house. My mom had boyfriends that really weren't the best role models, and definitely not manly by any means. They weren't real men, and I dealt with a lot of stuff on my own. I had to face a lot of things on my own, even, growing up, injuries, life domestically, like everything was kind of just left with me. So I had to, figure it out. And ultimately, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was trying to, because I knew that I didn't want to be in those positions or situations ever again. And, finding a way to get to where I'm at now. And we're still in the beginning of it. Like, this is still the beginning, and it's been so long. So to finally, like, have this happen, and this is the first step to really break through. Like, I intend on making a statement, August 16th, because this is my life. This is more to me than anyone could possibly imagine. I don't talk to my mom no more. I don't talk to my family no more. They're not a part of my life. Things happen the way they did, and now I'm left with myself again. So just to be in that position, I have a family now. I have my daughter, I have my girlfriend that are very supportive of me.
It's awesome.
I'm very much focused on just that and myself. So I have a team around me. I've got an army of people behind me, and this is the first step.
That's once you have a kid, man. The whole mindset changes.
So perspective changes.
Especially little girl. Girl.
I'm working on my second one.
Well, my two kids, I hate going to work, but I go because of them.
Yeah.
You know what it is too that I learned. My story is, if not us, then who?
Right.
We are the sacrifice to all the hard stuff, so our kids don't have to go through it.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You went through what you went through. You felt that.
Yeah.
You've been through it. Would you do that to your daughter? You get what I'm saying?
The stuff that I've been through, man. I'll say it here. I went to jail recently for things that happened because of what happened to me as a kid, and I was met with the person that played a part in that. And when I saw them, a switch just flipped, and I ended up putting him in the hospital. The reason why they charged me with a second-degree aggravated assault was because of the damage that I did. And luckily enough, I had the right people around me, and they were able to get me out. And I was set to do 10 to 15 years for it. And the people I had around me were able to speak and say what they said, and they were able to get me out the second day, and ended up getting dismissed. Best case scenario, ended up getting dismissed. And just the thought of what my mom allowed happened to us as kids, and if I was to ever even do that, or if that was to ever happen to my own daughter, it's I go back to jail in a heartbeat. So
we're here for as parents to protect what is ours.
And it changes. It changes when we become parents.
Like, I'll be the first to say, like, when
You never had it.
I never had it bad. That's what I'm about to say.
Come on.
Like, I can't attest that because
still together.
I had it good. So my
He had it
friends
great.
are the ones that had it bad,
Yeah,
and I
we
used
all-
to be like,
His family.
shit.
Yeah.
And
He
so
can
I
never
always,
relate to us.
one thing about it is I always felt though, like, yo, they need me, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
That's good.
I lived
Because
with him my senior year. I got you with that
like,
else.
I said, like, when he was like, yo, I'm gonna be going, I was like, nah, bro, you're gonna come live with me.
Yeah, you wanted me
I was like, I'll get my
shut
mom,
down
and
to
I was like, yo, you think? I was like, yo, I got this.
Yeah.
I went home, told my parents the situation. My dad immediately said, get your ass upstairs and go clean the room then.
And that's if it
That
wasn't
was
for
it.
him-
He didn't even say yet. He just told me, get upstairs and go clean that room. Because I was a slob, I'll be honest.
And it's,
But I
honestly,
always-
if it wasn't for his parents, all of us would be, who knows?
Like, I
His parents
always,
saved us all. We were all hood kids.
Yeah.
On the
'Cause-
streets.
and it's not like something I never bragged about anything. I would always tell my friend, like, I noticed my parents are still together. A lot of my friends' parents weren't.
That was not normal.
Yeah, like, and like, I remember people would make comments to my parents when they would see me with him, see me with other people, and be like, yo, that kid, my dad would be like, yo, chill the hell out. He goes, if my son's with him and I'm okay with my son with him, then he's fine by me. So whatever you're about to say next, keep that shit to yourself, or I'm going to defend him because now you're pissing me off.
Oh, yeah, 20
Because
people
my
in the house.
parents
All of us. 20 of us.
were basically, they were foster
Yeah,
kids.
we were all foster
Because
kids.
my parents always told them to come by. My parents always fed them, never questioned, like, yo, never complained, never nothing. The only person who complained was Raymar, because Raymar, you know, everything had to be special for
Yeah,
this kid.
But he's
you
another
know.
one. He don't know struggle.
I had friends like that, man. I had friends like that.
And Like my parents, you could talk to them today. Like my parents were here for his baby shower,
Yeah.
and my mom just sits back and just says, "How much I wish you guys were kids still." Like
Yeah,
I
man,
miss
time
it.
flies.
Yeah.
It does, man.
Like-
And my dad passed away in '08. I mean, we became best of friends, but I never had a mom, so it was like that was my mom and dad, and we pieced it up because life happens, man. You know. And at the end, this is what I learned now at 42 years old, is that they can only love how they were taught.
Yeah.
They didn't know any better. Like my dad, I remember I used to get mad. I don't know if you remember, I used to get in trouble for not doing Mother's Day cards and all that in school. I wouldn't do any of that. They'd be like, "Oh, your mother." I don't have a mom. Like, that was me.
Yeah.
0. Go have your dad sign this. You know what I mean? Like, he used to be like,
I'd be like, "Yo, what are you gonna tell him? I'm gonna tell him I ain't make it. What the
yeah,
hell?"
like, you can't. I was in line about it. You know? So what I learned was, for my dad, we became the best of friends. And even his deathbed, I would be like, "Hey, listen, it's all good. You did the best you could." And he nodded his head no. He knew it. Green eyes, looked at me, nodded his head no. And I'm like, "Yo, bro, it's cool. I forgive you. We're good. We're good. We're good. You can rest now." He passed away. He wanted to hear that from me. You know what I mean? But what I learned is, okay, I went through that, so Ariana don't have to go through that. Then Kiana, my daughter, who'll be here any day, any week, she don't have to go through that. We want sacrifices, so they're not. That's all it is. Now you can stay stuck and be like, poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me. Now you're stuck there, and all you're doing is generational cursing.
Yep.
You're back to it because it happened to you, so now it's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Be smart. You're about to embark in something so amazing, right? If he backs you, good. If he backs you, I say, man, forget. Good. I don't need you.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn that we're gonna be like fleas are gonna start falling off, and then you're there at your journey. You're winning, and you're sitting there like
And all
Tito
of a
Ortiz.
sudden,
I never even told you what he told me. He said, "Listen to this. Everyone's your friend, right? Check out my fight with Randy Couture. My entourage was deep, bro. He couldn't even walk to the cage." And then he says, "Look what happened at the end when Randy beat me. I walked back by myself." He said, "Lesson number 1, not everybody's for you."
And that's something that I will say. If I guess back then I probably wouldn't say I would have it that way, but to have it the way it turned out in the beginning for me, being 0-4 starting out, it was something that I really noticed early on was who was there, and no one was there. My mom, my family, and my brothers, they didn't come to my first 3 or 4 fights. You know,
And these are people that were close.
Yeah, they came to the one fight that I won. They came to. You know, they weren't there when I was losing. You know, even my own family. My mom wasn't supportive of me fighting. She didn't want me doing that. Which, you know, obviously she's my mom, so she was trying to protect me. But she wasn't going. Nobody came to support me. Like the only person that was there for me was my teammate Will Elliott. He came and he drove me there. He drove me there. He was the one that got me in touch with my team now. You know, he was the guy that was there for me always, and he told me even after the losses, he was like, "You're gonna figure it out. I know you are. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna get there." And to have no one there when I was losing very early on, it's like now, like, you know, sometimes I talk shit on social media and call people out because everyone's kind of sitting there waiting. Millville's not a big town, so. You know, I know people are watching this, so it's like, well, what are you waiting for? You know, step up now, support me now, because you know I'm not gonna sit here and go and say, yeah, you guys been with me through the very beginning. I'm sure they'll probably lie and say that, but like it's just I know who was there for me when I was losing, and nobody was there for me. You know, just less than a handful of people were there for me. So that now to finally make this jump to turn pro and I see it in my mind the success I'm going to have, and to know that people are going to try and piggyback off of that, and it's not going to be real. It's like I'm the kind of guy that's going to call you out on that. Like I don't want to be the guy that lets people just kind of come in and facade and play nice and oh yeah, I've been supporting you, I've been watching you from the very beginning. It's like no, you weren't. No, you weren't. Like I was down and about, and nobody was there. Nobody was knocking on my door talking to me. Nobody reached out to me to see how I was doing. The people that did were the people that, you know, Will Elliott, a guy named Julius Twyman that I know, but you know, 2 people. That's it. 2 people that were there for me from the very beginning that supported me and still support me to this day. Anybody else is just icing on the cake. It's just sweet because I finally broke through that and was able to win and make it happen. And now I'm about to turn pro and make this big jump. And now I know that it's going to come with attention. It's going to come with numbers, and people are going to try and be a part of that and say, yeah, that's Milvo's own. I'm with him. I'm with him. Like, I'm glad that you guys wanted to do this now, before I start winning, before I start making a name for myself. Because
I seen a big part of it was Andrew, because he goes and trains at that spot.
That's another guy, man. I don't even know Andrew, man.
And he posted a picture, and I was like, Bermudez, Lupe's,
Jason Guadalupe.
his sister's husband.
Okay.
He's been training. We be making fun of him on our group chats because he's always posting pictures of him sweating. I'm like, bro, what are you showing me? Show me what you're doing, actual.
Yeah,
come on, guy, let's get the sweat going. Let the drip. So I've saved some of those photos, Andrew, just to let you know. So when the Steelers beat the Eagles, I'm just gonna be dropping those like gems. And he showed that, and I was just like, yo. And I had already seen you on Edgar's feed. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the guy that's about to fight. I said, Andrew, get him on the show, just joking around and see what. And then when you said, all right, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
like, we've never done that before, like
Right.
on here. Like, it's always just been me and Elon and him talking shit about sports.
Yeah.
Like, I tell people all the time, my podcast isn't about numbers and this. It's about shit. It's about real people shit talk. Like,
that's authentic, though. That's
you know what I
rare.
mean?
There's
Like,
no surprise
say how
out
you
there.
feel about your team. Say how you feel about the player.
It's also an event session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let it out. And it's fun. It's hilarious. We've met so many people along the way. And I'm thankful for the podcast. We've just met you. And
Yeah.
and I'm very excited for what's coming your way, man. Because I really feel as though listening to others and listening to you now, you have a great mindset on you. You've been through the struggle. And at your point, you're just like, what can come next to me that's going to stop me now? Like, you've already faced everything that could possibly stop you. And that hasn't stopped you. So it's just going forward from here on out.
I will say I've had every reason to quit. I've had every reason you can think of to hang it up and say, it's just not it,
You haven't.
And I haven't, exactly. And that's something that I remind myself is that I have a reason to quit. I have every reason in the book. I can pick one on Monday. I can pick one on Tuesday. I can pick 3 on Wednesday. And people will be like, yeah, man, that's I'd probably hang it up too. And they'd probably go with it and let me do it. And I know that. And to know that, it's like, why not see it? Why not see it to the other side? Why not maximize on that other side of the coin?
It's like that that picture you see circulate sometimes, that meme where the guy's picking with the dirt to get to the diamond, and the other person quits.
Yep.
But the person that kept going, he's one
Right
more
there.
hit, and it's there.
Right there. Right
So
there.
that's-
I feel it. I am right
Yeah,
there. Man.
like-
I feel it. And
And that's your spirit telling you it's not over. It's
Yeah.
not what you want anymore.
Yeah.
Just now you're being guided to this.
no, I feel it. I
God
really
wanted
got
to see if
goosebumps
you would
with
quit.
saying that.
Yeah, at 26 years old, I stopped completely MMA training and all that. Only because I had kids and injuries, and I was like, oh, it's over. One thing I learned, I went to Extreme Couture in Las Vegas.
No, I've heard of that.
Right? Met Randy and all that. And I asked him, I said, yo, this is what took me away from local MMA. How much is the membership here? He tells me $50 a month. And I looked at my ex-wife. I said, did you hear that? She said, man, there's $150 over there. Came back to the gym. I'm like, yo, we got to do better. Mind you, I had Carlos Nieves. You remember Carlos?
That's who my first guy was. That's the guy. That's the guy. Yeah.
And I had Al Buck. They were both first ever Cage Fury champions at the gym, right? So we're sitting there, and I'm like, yo, we got to do better, man. What you mean you got to do better? And I'm sitting there like, yo, Randy Couture is charging $50 a month. Mind you, when you get to Extreme Couture, Chuck Liddell signed the ring, T. Ortiz signed the ring, George St. Pierre signed the ring, Anderson Silva signed. And you're sitting there, you're looking at all the pictures, you're like, bro, really? You can't. This is what Randy Couture told me. You can't come in on Wednesday from 5 to 6. I was like, okay, why? Just curious. His son Ryan goes, oh, that's pro night. You're gonna run into Rampage Jackson, and I'm telling my girl, we gotta come. Yeah, he said you're gonna run into Rampage Jackson, who's gonna want to do this, and then you're seeing that professional level, and then you're like, what am I doing over here?
Yeah.
What they're taking from us, Randy Couture is just like, and his gym is like a crazy gym. It's got ring, cage, the platform when he won the title, he kept it there.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It's just like that took it out of me. I flight back home, I was like, I don't do this no more.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one
You
of
feel like
those
you're being
things.
robbed.
Yeah, and nowadays it's especially, I think more than anything, it's inflation. But a lot of the gyms are pretty expensive, especially around the East Coast. I'm not sure what it's like now on the West Coast, but I'll be honest, my gym that I train at in Washington Township, it's like $220 a month to train there.
Yeah. But you see results.
Yeah.
I'm paying $150.
Right.
If you're
You know
paying
what I mean?
$220 a month and look at everything it's
Doors
giving
are
you,
opening.
it's almost priceless at that point
Right.
because
Yeah.
you're getting properly taught, you're getting properly, your body's getting properly treated.
Yeah.
You're getting great advice, and they're getting you booked. Like,
Right. Yeah. No. And especially, I think it's more so the area. Washington Township is pretty bougie, so it's definitely the area. Guys, you have guys that are in there training. I will say, for the most part, guys who are in there that are trying to do this for like seriously, they usually have some kind of deal with the coach and all that stuff because a lot of the money is coming from the kids. The parents are paying for the kids to train there. The hobbyists that come in that want to work out, the businessmen that just want to hit the bag, like they're the ones that are kind of getting the bills, like paying the bills in that building.
Right.
So
And it's smart.
it is very nice for
Smart.
guys like that, kids like that demographic to be in there because it gives us, the fighters, an opportunity to really focus on training where the coaches isn't hassling us like, where's your money? Where's your money? Where's your money? Where's your money? Like, I'm very, very thankful for my team. I'm very, very thankful for my coaches. Like we train in top tier facilities, and to be able to do it, the way we're doing it, and the fact that they're able to still function because of the people that do come in and pay, like I'm thankful for those people, And back to Andrew, man. I don't even know Andrew personally. I met him once, and he was at the tournament, the in-house tournament at the gym that I trained at, and he came up to me and was like, "Yo," like he said my name, like, "Yo, it's Jose. Like, it's so nice to meet you. He wanted to take a picture with me and everything." I took a picture with him, and I told him, I said, "Listen, man, I don't know you, but I just want to say how thankful I am for you to be supporting me the way you are. Like to not even know me, and I'm sure he knows people that are familiar with me that went to school with me, but he's very he's a fan of me, and that's probably the first fan that I've ever encountered.
We can show you the group chat.
Yeah, that's probably the first fan that I've ever encountered. First person that really has been excited to see me. That's never happened before. So to have that happen, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me.
Ernesto's gym, right?
Yeah, Ernesto's gym.
I know Ernesto because of friends he had back in high school. Steve Crack, the guys that some of the dude that used to be a manager when I worked at Burger King.
DTW?
Yeah.
That's his cousin.
They used to They used to do mixed martial arts like it was backyard wrestling.
Yeah.
Ernesto and them. Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Back in Florence, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be Stephen Crack. It would be they'd have a following. And I remember Crack would come back to work the next day, scrapes here and this. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And then he would show me. I'm like, bro, one of you guys are gonna die. He goes, what's the difference about what you did when you were a high school?
Yeah.
I was a teenager bouncing on a trampoline. Yeah, like how bad was that? Like you're taking punches to the face. Like, dude, you're not wearing nothing.
Yeah, no.
But they even said back then, like Ernesto was he would destroy them all.
Ernesto's a good guy, man.
He's awesome. And Andrew is as authentic as they come.
He's super genuine, man.
No, I feel that. Like, I'm usually the kind of guy, like, I'm not very talkative with just strangers or anything like that, because, like, a lot of people like to blow smoke up your ass, so, like, I just kind of keep to myself.
Yeah.
But, like, he was, like, very simple, wanted to get his point across that he was a fan, and I felt that, and that meant a lot to me, more than he probably understands. And that's something for me, especially about the make this step into my career. Like it shows me that I'm making an impact. I'm influencing people. Exactly. I'm influencing people at some degree, and that is essentially the intention. Aside from the goals that I have, I want to turn on the lights of people that are around me, whether it be your 9 to 5 or whether it be your anybody that could potentially find any inspiration for what I'm doing, to step outside that discomfort and to go into it and fully embrace the light and be who you want to be. Forget what society tells you to be who you want to be, explore that option, really push it and maximize on it. Like it's all I ever want to do is to really inspire the people and get them to turn on that light inside of them and step up and say, I am who I want to be.
You're doing it, bro.
It's always been like that.
You're doing
That's what I'm saying.
That's awesome because there's a lot of talent out here. There really is.
Next time we see Andrew, give him that sweep that you did in Fury.
He brought it up. He was like, yo, man, that leg sweep was awesome, man. I love the way you grapple.
Bro,
I'll pull it up for you if you want.
From hell. It was a black belt too, right?
Yeah, he was a black belt. Yeah.
And it was so perfect. I was like, I texted him right after, bro. What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when that all happened too with Andrew and all that.
And he got a CM
My
Punk
air
interview.
conditioning.
I've been trying to get Punk to
Yo.
sign something.
That's crazy.
You know how hard it is to get Punk to sign something?
Yeah, and it's funny because his interview, he's just like, Punk is interviewing him, and he's like, yeah, so
I'd have been starstruck.
I know you would have been like,
I'd have been like,
oh my God, give me a hug.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, look in my eyes.
Sweet. He reached for a collar tie.
Ooh.
Leg
You
sweep.
seen that sweep?
Ooh.
You gotta name that thing. The booty sweep.
Yeah, that's some good shit.
I mean, that thing wasn't sweet.
Yo, I know his ass
Yeah.
hurt. 'Cause my
Yeah.
ass hurt just looking at it.
So
My coach was actually the one reffing the match, and he told me afterwards, he was like, dude, that was a leg kick. That wasn't a sweep. And he told me, that was loud. You kicked
it
him
was
hard.
I was like, boom. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So what happens? Your debut. What are you thinking when you walk out for your debut?
As far as the walkout line goes,
As the walkout, when you're standing across the cage looking at your opponent, what would you be thinking?
timing, patience, pressure. Timing, patience, pressure. Too sharp, too fast, too focused. Go in there and just do. This isn't a matter of thinking anymore. We go out there and do. Opportunities will present themselves. It's our job.
Always
to
wondered
execute.
that. The mentality, like what they think. What, like, are
you
you
know what my girl tells
are you
me?
sitting there like, all right, is he gonna throw the hook here? Like I've always wondered that. Like, because I feel like if you're thinking like that, I feel like you're gonna lose because
Yeah,
you're so much thinking instead of reacting.
you're walking into uncertainty, and that's essentially what it is. And once you understand that, you just got to go in there and do what you do. You feel the feeling you feel, and you don't want to shy away from it. You want to embrace it, step into it. And I always tell I always tell Joe Pfeiffer, doesn't matter what version of you goes out there. That's the version you take in with you, and that's the version you show is the best. And for me, that's how I look at it. Like I've gone out there and I've competed and I've tried to be something that I used to be, or say like wrestling, for example, where I'll wrestle one match and I'll feel this way for this match, and then I'll wrestle another match and I'll feel this way for that match, and then I may have not liked the way I felt one match, so I want to feel that way I did that one time I wrestled and wrestle that way again. It's like you're not going to get that. So it's just about feeling the way you feel in that moment, and whatever feeling you feel in that moment, that's who you take in there with you, and that's the warrior inside you. And if we've set out to be absolute in any degree, and if a part of me is like MJ, like flu game MJ, if you're sick, if you're not feeling good, it's like I'm still that guy. I'll still go out there and I'll get the job done. You know, this camp has been rough. You know, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, so going out there, I understand that, I know that, and for me, this is an opportunity for me to show I am who I believe I am, and despite what I'm going through, despite what I'm feeling, I'm going to go out there and capitalize and go out there and make a statement.
Do you feel any added pressure to win with everything, like with, you know, them trying not to make allow you to fight? Do you feel like if I lose this match, are they going to let me fight again? Are they going to use, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely crosses my mind that they may not let me fight if I don't win. So I guess it's a matter of how much I think about that. But for me, more than anything is remembering how many times I asked for this moment. Remembering how many times I asked for this moment, knowing that this is what it's about. Like I didn't know what it was going to feel like to finally get this opportunity, but I remember asking for this opportunity. But now that we're here, it's time to embrace it. It's time to step into that, and it's time to really rise above the occasion and set the standard.
Absolutely.
So,
And a good mindset is to remember what it felt like not to have this moment.
I remember where I came from. I know how I started out, and I've been on that side of it. Now it's time for me to see the other side.
Absolutely.
Like my girl, she don't understand when the fighters. We watch them MMA, and she sees the fighters crying at the end, and she's like, "Why do they cry all the time?" She don't understand. I said, fighters, wrestlers, competitors are the only people that can turn that off. You go from a killer to the match is over. All emotion drains out, and now here's the interview. You have to learn how to shut that off, and now you're normal. All emotion is gone in like 10 seconds. We're back here with Joe Rogan talking, and now you're like, okay, so you have to go back to normal.
Yep.
The only fighters are the only people that can turn that switch off. You become a killer, and it's over. It can happen in one shot. You go there, kill. Look at Vitor Belfort back in the day. He killed you, bro.
He was.
And then what would he do? He would look around, jump over the cage. That's all emotion they have to get out before they go back in the cage. And here it goes. Hey, really are.
Yeah.
It's
a roller coaster.
The
For
real
sure.
killers.
Roller coaster ride.
They're real killers, bro.
Wow.
Huh?
I've learned a lot today.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You're gonna start watching MMA.
I am, man.
August
I've never
16th.
been a big fan of it. I don't watch it as heavy as Edgar does or some of the other guys.
So guess what? Let's see how real it is.
Oh, no. I grew up in around the Walnut Manor peoples and
Me
stuff
too.
like that.
Bro,
so.
I'm from there.
My dad's name is Magoo. I know he knows Oscar's dad. And everything.
He knows.
Everybody knows Oscars.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been swept enough in my life. But honestly, man, I came in here, not really knowing what to expect out of this interview. Being a little nervous just because I didn't know you or anything like that. And again, not being a big UFC fan and stuff. But hearing your story, hearing your side of things and stuff like that, man, it's super dope.
We're on your side. You ain't never got to worry about that ever again.
Yeah, bro. Nah, you're it, bro.
I mean, I'll be able to attend that thing live, but I'm gonna find a way to get it on this television.
It'll be on OnlyFans. So
Okay.
it's a strange platform, but it'll be on OnlyFans. I'll be on probably around. It starts at 7.
I thought it wouldn't it be on UFC Fight Pass?
So they have the main card on UFC Fight Pass, and then they do the prelims on
I said
OnlyFans.
Pornhub.
I didn't hear you.
No, but I'm like the 4th fight, so I should be on. It starts at 7. I should be on anywhere from like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
We'll be tuned in. I'll definitely be tuned in, bro.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'll have
And
you.
I
On,
appreciate you
you
guys.
know, you're
having
gonna be
me
on the big
man.
screen,
Oh, man,
even though Pittsburgh's playing Friday.
No, we're gonna watch this.
But it's preseason, so preseason can go on my other little TVs back there.
Definitely appreciate you coming.
Nah, yeah,
No,
we
thank
definitely
you guys.
appreciate
I really
having you,
appreciate
man.
it, man.
You want to say anything else to the fans?
I mean,
Everybody.
aside from jumping on it now, I mean, obviously we'll have people go on along the way, but jump on it now. Be a part of this story from the very beginning. Get to know me, get to know my team, my story, and shout out to all my sponsors who have helped me get here. It's been a long camp, and to be able to fully be focused in this, I thank a lot of my sponsors for that. MMA is not a cheap expense, so to be able to finally do this and focus
I
on
wanted
it
to
fully.
just after the camera is over, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I will. But just all the people watching, stay tuned. What's this podcast called?
On the Money Sports.
Shout out to On the Money Sports for having me on. I really appreciate it. First fighter, right? From what you're
Right,
saying?
Yeah,
First
interview.
you're the first interview.
You're the very
I was
first
supposed to have
interview,
Roberto Lopez here 8 years ago and never heard.
Well,
Leon Dawkins.
I'm glad to be a part of the first interview of On the Money. What's it? On the Money Sports.
On the Money
Yes.
On
Sports.
the Money
podcast,
Sports.
yeah.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to being on here again. And
Listen,
Dude,
you have an open invitation whenever you're free.
this is your home.
And
You
we're
wanna
recording.
present
You can
something,
like,
you wanna promote
listen,
something. You come.
I don't
here
know
and
if
do
you
it,
watch
bro.
other sports, but you are more than willing to come through and give your opinion on them as well.
Thank you very much. And you're good at picks, right?
Yeah, I
I
do a
might
lot
have
of
to-
fantasy
might need
stuff,
to
good
ask
stuff.
That's your gambling man right
I'm
there.
not a big. I've gambled. I've made some bets before, and I've lost some big money trying to make some bets. And I
I've
definitely
lost money and I've made big money, man.
All right,
so
cool,
it comes
cool,
with
cool.
the game, honestly. But
I got my bet going.
And you
End
got
of the
a
year,
belt. You
baby.
got a belt here too.
I wish.
Oscar money belt.
the On the Money Sports Fantasy Football title that we got.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We got a lot.
But I'm very thankful for you guys to have me.
Oh, man,
This
like-
means a lot to
likewise,
me.
brother,
To be a part of
likewise.
something like you guys are literally like I grew up in Dulce Gardens, the ghetto, so it's
Oh
like
shit. Okay.
not too far from here to be right in the nook of Millville and to support you guys. It means a lot to me because that's
Likewise.
always what I've been trying to do is just to represent Millville, represent Jersey, and represent anybody who's building anything here. Millville's a small town, and not a lot of people know about it. So to bring light, to bring attention to it by any means, that means a lot
It's
to
important.
me.
It's
It's
important for the
important.
people out here.
There's athletes out there.
Allen,
Yeah.
all
Like-
the Millville guys that are getting signed.
There's
from
so
Division
many
Ones.
guys. People
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah,
know,
like
man.
you
There's
got,
so
you
many
know,
people.
The most famous person, of course, is Trout.
And
Then
Pacheco, I think,
And
is next in
Pacheco's
line.
now next in line. And like, there's a lot of talent out here. There's one thing you could tell kids, like if you got
Here's the
something like
difference between
Well,
those
I
guys.
will say is
Hold on,
oh, my bad.
the difference between those guys, they got teams.
yeah,
He's
you're
doing this
right.
Alone.
You're right.
That's what
It's a completely different sport,
Yeah.
but
I definitely
for kids
know.
with dreams of aspirations of sports, period, what would you tell them?
Two things. One thing, most importantly, is we are what we've been waiting for. You know, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to help you out. Yeah, you'll have people along the way that guide you and get you where you're going, but no one's coming to save you. You ultimately decide what it is that you want to do with this life, and you go out there and maximize it. And to that, I say the people who are watching, those people who are trying to maximize their life, support them as much as you can. Be there to support them. It's very important. I've seen many guys rise and people get behind them, and as soon as they have one slip up, they all disappear. And it's tough, especially being in a small town, small city, like to have your own people turn their backs on you because you make one mistake or you just don't, do what they expect you to do. It's like that's sad. Like they need that. They need that support. They need the numbers to be able to let them know, like, don't stop doing what you're doing. Yeah, this happened, but keep going, because that's what's going to get them to that next level. And yeah, they're not coming to save you by any means, but it's that extra push to get you to go, I want to represent these people in the highest order. And that's where I'm at. I'm here. I haven't, Millville's quiet when it comes to Jose. So I'll be honest, but I'm here to represent in the highest order and to lead the way, because the people that I came up with, yeah, they're quiet, but the kids that I'm going to inspire that are coming up, they're the ones that are going to change the way. They're the ones that are going to change the narrative and go, he's right. We need to be there for our people. We need to support our people. And they start to do that for each other. Then those who I came up with will go, maybe he was right. Maybe he was on something. And look what the result is of that. So this is me. I'm doing something. I have a plan. I'm doing something very, very big, very grand, and I'm set on doing it. I'm set on. There's always a way when you're Jose.
That's
No,
right.
that's my plan.
Hey.
There's always a way when
Like
you're
that.
Jose, and I will find a way. I found a way to get here, and I'll keep finding a way to continue it all.
That's awesome, man. That's
Patent
awesome.
that
I'm sure
slogan.
everybody's listening. I'm sure you're going to be inspiring people very, very soon, if not already. And it's going to be awesome to watch you climb up this ladder.
Thank you very much. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you for everything today. Like I said, the open invitation to the On the Money Sports Lounge anytime.
Sir,
And again,
thank
make sure you guys are tuning in August 16th in Atlantic City.
All right.
Cage Fear fighting. Jose versus
you.
Tyree Sutton. It's going to be big. It's going to be big.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Yeah,
So
tonight.